Hello, and welcome to People's News. This is your weekly roundup, covering the major developments shaping global affairs over the past few days. This week was defined by rising tension around Iran, continued escalation in Ukraine despite peace talks, nuclear uncertainty, and significant policy shifts in Europe and the Asia-Pacific, Iran, the Strait of Hormuz, and regional escalation. The most strategically significant development this week came from the Persian Gulf. Iran temporarily closed parts of the Strait of Hormuz during live-fire military drills, a move that immediately drew global attention. The strait is one of the world's most critical energy choke points, with a significant percentage of global oil shipments passing through it each day. While the closure was temporary and linked to exercises, it served as a reminder of how quickly regional tension could impact global energy markets. At the same time, US-Iran nuclear talks resumed in Geneva, even as military signaling increased. Washington has continued its regional buildup, and Russia warned of what it described as unprecedented escalation around Iran. Separately, reports suggest the United States is preparing a full withdrawal from Syria, a move that could shift the regional balance further if confirmed. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump launched a proposed Board of Peace, pledging funding for Gaza reconstruction and outlining a stabilization force concept, adding another layer of political signaling to an already complex regional picture. Taken together, diplomacy is ongoing, but so is military positioning. The risk is not necessarily immediate conflict, but miscalculation in a region where pressure is clearly building. Ukraine, escalation during peace talks. In Ukraine, escalation continued even as negotiations resumed. Russia struck Ukraine's power grid ahead of the latest round of peace talks in Geneva, reinforcing a pattern of targeting energy infrastructure during winter conditions. At the same time, drone and missile exchanges intensified during the negotiations themselves, underscoring the gap between diplomatic language and battlefield reality. The Geneva talks ultimately ended without a breakthrough. There was no agreed ceasefire framework, no implementation timeline, and no verified reduction in hostilities. This follows a broader pattern. Talks continue, but military pressure does not ease. Hovering over these discussions is a deeper structural issue: nuclear arms control. With the New START treaty framework no longer operational and no replacement agreement in place, there is currently no active inspection regime limiting deployed strategic nuclear weapons between the United States and Russia. While both sides signal they do not seek escalation, the absence of formal guardrails adds a layer of uncertainty to an already tense environment. Diplomacy exists, but binding commitments are increasingly rare. Europe, climate commitment, and carbon recalibration. In Europe, policy shifted in a different direction. The European Union set a binding 2040 climate target, aiming for a 90% reduction in emissions compared to 1990 levels. The move signals that long-term climate ambition remains intact. However, the EU also delayed the launch of its new ETS2 carbon market, which would extend emissions pricing to buildings and road transport. Carbon prices dipped amid signals of policy adjustment, suggesting that while Europe remains committed to climate goals, it is recalibrating the pace of implementation amid economic pressure. The message from Brussels appears to be this: ambition remains, but flexibility is increasing. Asia-Pacific, military and trade positioning. In the Asia-Pacific, strategic competition continued to sharpen. The United States announced plans to deploy more advanced missile systems to the Philippines, reinforcing its military footprint in the region. At the same time, tensions flared between China and the Philippines over what Manila described as coercive warnings related to employment and maritime disputes in the South China Sea. Meanwhile, the United States and Taiwan advanced a reciprocal trade agreement, a move likely to be viewed in Beijing as part of a broader containment strategy. These developments reflect an increasingly defined alignment structure in the region, with economic agreements and military deployments moving in parallel. Sudan, UN warns of hallmarks of genocide. Finally, in Sudan, a United Nations inquiry found what it described as the hallmarks of genocide in El Fasher. Investigators cited mass killings, widespread violence, and targeted actions against non-Arab communities, with accusations directed at the Rapid Support Forces. The findings increase international pressure for accountability, though enforcement mechanisms remain limited. The situation in Sudan continues to deteriorate, with humanitarian consequences deepening. This week was not defined by resolution, it was defined by pressure. Iran signaling strength in a critical energy corridor. Ukraine is facing escalation even during negotiations. Nuclear guardrails are weakening without replacement. Europe is balancing climate ambition with economic reality. Asia-Pacific tensions are sharpening, and Sudan is confronting the possibility of genocide. The question now is whether diplomacy can catch up with momentum, or whether instability becomes the new baseline. We'll continue to track it. Thank you for watching People's News. Like and subscribe to stay up to date, and we'll see you next week.